Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Talking Cardboard. My name is Cory, and today's list is climbing higher and higher with my top 50 favorite board games of all time. Today's list is games number 20 down to 16. As always, if you like the content here on the channel, consider subscribing. We'd really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay, and game number 20 is brand new to the list. And I've only got it and played once on Tabletop Simulator, but we played it with the designers of the game. It hasn't even been released yet. It's got a release date for 2021, but we just had so much fun playing this online. Got the complete rundown, like I said, from the actual game designers, teaching us every step-by-step through the game process, how the game plays, the different variations of different gameplay mechanisms, and they really gave a thorough run through, and we had a blast playing this game. And this game is Planet Unknown. At its core, Planet Unknown is a really simple tile placement game where you're trying to move up these different tracks by placing tiles on your board, filling out your board the best you can to, like I said, go up on tracks to get the most points by the end of the game. But it's got some really neat mechanisms and gameplay to this. One of the really cool mechanisms that I have not ever seen before, and it's just really cool, really blew us away, and it really works well, is it's got a Lazy Susan mechanism to the center of the table, where during your turn you can rotate the Lazy Susan to point in whatever directions to whichever players you decide. Whatever part of that Lazy Susan is pointing toward you are the tiles you get to choose from, because each section of the Lazy Susan has a different number of tiles you get to choose. So it's really neat trying to rotate that board, trying to rotate that Lazy Susan to maybe give your opponents tiles that they don't necessarily need, all in the meanwhile rotating it to the correct side for some tiles that you do need. It's also cool too because there are some tiles that allow you to move a rover around on the planet to do different things for you too. So it's got some spatial recognition with that, some spatial elements. Not only the polyomino shapes, trying to fit those accordingly, but also moving those rovers around the planet are really fun as well. So it's got some movement, some really tactical strategy, and some just a whole lot of strategy with that Lazy Susan and rotating that to be where you need it, when you need it. And as the game unfolds, your opponents are doing that to you as well. They're trying to give everybody some negative tiles that they really can't fit on their board or place strategically very well, to really hinder them, but all in the meanwhile rotating it to be beneficial for themselves. So that is Planet Unknown. Okay, and number 19 on the list moved up 14 places, and it's because we've been getting this game to the table quite a lot. Not more recently with COVID, but before the COVID pandemic, we've been really just playing the heck out of this game. This game plays very well up to 6 players. Pretty large group of people can really sit down and have fun with this one, and I consider this to be mainly a party game. I wouldn't ever really pull it out to be like heads down, die-hard strategy style, but this is more of like, hey, a bunch of people, let's get together in a group and just have some fun racing and having a party with it. And this game is Downforce. So like I said, Downforce is a racing style, almost kind of party game, but it's not about the cars actually racing. It's you can win this game without your car winning the race. It's more of a bidding game with a racing element mixed in. This game really has some cool elements to it. At the beginning of the game, you are bidding on what cars to own yourself. So you would pay off that car's driver and you would want that car to essentially win the race. But I've seen people win this game plenty of times without their car actually finishing in first. So you are really bidding on different cars as you see how they progress around the race or during the race. And if your car is doing well, that's great. But if your car is doing poorly, you can still win just by betting on other cars. Whatever price you put on the car that you bid for in the beginning of the game, you actually spend your money for that. So you're starting off with some negative money. And then by the end of the race, depending on how well you did, you get positive money for that to hopefully have the most positive money at the end of the race. It's a very simple game, very simple to learn, very simple to play, very simple to teach. Everybody just gets a hand of cards at the beginning of the game, and they're stuck with that hand of cards for the rest of the game. At the beginning of your turn, you play one card down on the table, and each line of numbers has a color associated with it, and you move that color car that many spaces. Very simple. The tactical strategy comes into play with blocking people, because if you can't legally move a car ahead, like if the cars are bottlenecking at a certain point, if you can't legally move them forward, they are stuck behind the cars. So there is some strategy on what cards you play to have different colored cars trigger at different times, along with that bidding mechanic throughout the game as well. So a lot of fun manipulating the cars and bidding to see who will win. And like I said, just have a blast every time. It is a party-like game, party atmosphere when everybody's playing. There's a lot of stand-up and cheering moments with this game, and you can win without your car winning. So that is Downforce. Okay, and my number 18 game is brand new to the list as well. And this game, let's just get right into it. This game is The Lost Ruins of Arnak. Just came out, just released over the past few months here. Gotten this game to the table plenty of times, but I am going to throw a caveat into this where I only play The Lost Ruins of Arnak on the more difficult side of the board. There is one side with an easier temple, and the other side is, I believe, the snake temple, which is a little bit more difficult to play with. And it just feels like a tighter, more crunchy and strategic game on that more difficult side. So I will only play with the more difficult side of the board. But having said that, it is debuting at number 18 for that reason, because the game is just so great. It mixes deck building along with worker placement. The cards you play down in front of you will dictate where you can place your workers on the board to get you different resources. You are moving up a temple track to get you different bonuses and points, and you're also going out and discovering these different temples that have guardians that are guarding the temples at the gate that you have to defeat. You can defeat them or choose to do different things just by exploring, and it's just a ton of fun. You are basically getting points for doing everything, which is also fun. But you know, that sense of exploration and going out and seeing what you're going to find is just so much fun. Like I said, there's guardians that add a twist into the game as well, where you can defeat them for points or a special one-time ability that you get for defeating that guardian. You can choose not to defeat the guardian and just go out and explore and have a good time and really work toward getting different resources to move yourself up through the snake temple, for example, to get you different bonuses and points too. So there are a few different facets and modes to victory in this game. There's not only one path you have to take to win, and just that acquiring cards to then lay down and get bonuses, but also it'll dictate where you're placing that worker, is just so much fun to me. So that is The Lost Ruins of Arnak. Okay, and my number 17 favorite game has actually dropped down 8 places. It was number 9 last year, so top 10 material, but it's just dropped down 8 places. Still number 17, still holding very strong on my list. No fault of anything to the game. This game is still fantastic. This game is Wingspan. Wingspan, I have loved it ever since the first play I've gotten it down on the table. I'm not, I do like birds, but I'm not much of like a bird enthusiast or like a bird watching enthusiast or anything like that. But it's really cool because each bird or each card in the game has a different bird on it with a different fact about it. So it's a lot of fun just even looking at the artwork and the different birds and different fun facts about the birds. Even without playing the game, it's just fun to look at the artwork. So that's one pro with this game that I really enjoy, but also the gameplay mechanics and how everything unfolds is really fun. It's pretty much a tableau builder game where you are acquiring bird cards and trying to acquire bird food to attract them to your sanctuary. If you can successfully play a bird down into your sanctuary onto your player board, the more birds you play in a specific row will actually enhance that ability of that row. There's a forest area and an open plains area and more of a wetlands area that you can play different birds. Obviously, different species of birds like to live in different habitats, so you have to keep that in mind as well. But as you play down more birds in the forest, for example, you get better and better at gathering food for your birds. If you play more birds down in the open grassland area, you get better at laying eggs, and you get to play eggs on different birds. Each egg at the end of the game is worth a victory point, and also as you play birds out, some have an egg cost that you have to spend eggs in order to play it, so that's cool. And also the wetlands, as you play more birds down into your wetlands, you get better and better at drawing cards to get specific birds to your hand that you may need to work your engine better than everybody else. Like I said, this is an engine building, tableau building game, which basically means as you are acquiring birds and playing them in front of you, you're looking to build out your tableau and your overall engine better than your opponents. So some birds work more coherently with one another and help make combos out of one another. So one bird might do one thing to where it is beneficial for another bird that's in front of you and beneficial for another bird, and it just kind of combos into one another and just makes this really sweet, smooth engine that works off of itself. And basically, if you can do that better than your opponents, that's how you win the game. So a lot of fun every time. Like I said, give it a try. Even if you're not a bird enthusiast, it is worth giving a try. That is Wingspan. Okay, and the final game on my list today, game number 16, is another brand new game to the list. Just a ton of great games coming out recently, or, a ton of great new to me games that have come out recently. And this game is The Isle of Cats. The Isle of Cats, I really enjoy it. My wife really enjoys it. My friends really enjoy it. Everybody I've shown this game to has just really enjoyed it. The core mechanisms in this game is all about drafting cards to then rescue these cat tiles, these polyomino cat tiles off of an island and put them on your boat in strategic ways. So if that doesn't sound fun to you already, maybe it's not for you, but that just... The drafting polyominoes to try to fit them on a boat, those three things just mesh so well together for me and just make it so much fun to me. Like I said, you are drafting these cards and using them to rescue cats off of the island and place them on your boat to try to fill out rooms for victory points. You're trying to cover up the rats on your boat because it's -1 point per rat that's left on your boat at the end of the game. So you're trying to have your cats eat up those rats so you don't get the negative points. And you're also giving yourself goal cards. You can draft specific private goals that nobody else knows what you're going for but yourself, that you get to reveal at the end of the game and say, guess what I built up? I was going after this goal, and that goal. You guys didn't know that. I knew it the whole time, and this just got me a whole boatload of points. So it's fun drafting those cards for private missions that you are trying to accomplish with placing the cats on your boat. The other cards will give you more baskets. Each time you spend a basket, you can draft another cat tile to put on your boat. You're collecting fish to lure the cats onto your boat, and just doing this whole big puzzle that you're building out on the board, all in the while drafting cards that benefit you as well. So it mixes a couple mechanisms I just really enjoy, which is the card drafting and the placing the polyomino tiles in specific ways to most efficiently build out your boat. Those two things just gel so well. This game plays so smooth. It's got a lot of moving parts with different phases to each round, but once you get the hang of it, it plays so well. And like I said, it's gone over well every time I've gotten it to the table. Everybody's enjoyed it. I've not heard one negative comment about this game. Definitely worth a try. Another one of those where I said about Wingspan that you don't need to enjoy birds. This game is the same thing with cats. If you're not much of a cat person, throw that idea out the window and just buy the game anyway, because it is just that much fun. It is one of my favorite card drafting games and one of my favorite polyomino placement games, period. So definitely give it a shot. That is The Isle of Cats. All right, everybody, that does it for today's list. That is my games 20 down to 16. We are now moving into my top 15 favorite games of all time on the next video. And like I said in earlier videos, as we get to the top 10, I'm inviting other members of Talking Cardboard to sit down at the table with me and go over their top 10 favorite games of all time. So make sure you keep a lookout for that video, and we'll do the top 10 in 2 video segments as well, where we'll go through our games 10th down to number 6, and then the final video will be our game number 5 down to our number 1 favorite game of all time. So stay tuned. Also, John is continuing his top 30 favorite games of all time and working his way up to the top 10 before we get together as the group. So make sure you hop over to his videos and give those videos a like as well. And until next time, you all have a great day.